All right, YouTubers, I'm going to call this take 2 of a ramble. I just did a really nice ramble while I was driving. I had some errands to do to get ready. And of course, something with the GoPro, it didn't record right. I didn't push a button. I don't know what happened. So what I did to get ready today is I put gas in this beast, which was half a tank was like $65. I found it at $4.75 a gallon, and then not far away, a lot of gas stations were $5.10 a gallon. So getting ready for another summer trip is a little daunting with these gas prices, the thievery of oil companies, but that's a whole different ramble that I'm not planning on doing right now. I also filled up my propane. The one place I always go to, it was broken. So I went to U-Haul. If you go to U-Haul, if they have a propane thing, they have all the right nozzles and adapters to hook it up. So my propane is filled up. I got some more packing to get ready to do for the big trip, but we should be hitting the road soon. And it made me think of wondering how people travel, if you put much thought into how you travel. And I'll talk about mine, and then see if it's something that you do or don't do or want to do or don't want to do. I don't plan very much. What I do is, if I know I'm going to an area, I do a little research on the area and have some camping options. Normally I do campgrounds more than I dry camp or boondock and stuff like that. This trip I'm going to try to do a little bit more boondocking if everything works out. It's getting to the point where going to campgrounds and even dry camping at places, finding place, it's just so crowded. Maybe with the, again, the thievery of the oil companies, it might be lower. I know last year I took that huge trip. I went from Ohio up north and all the way across to Washington State to the ocean, through the Rockies and all that stuff, and at those gas prices it was still pretty expensive. I don't think I would consider doing trips like that, and I wonder if other people have put off that kind of trip themselves. I'm assuming many people have. Then when I do travel, there's different ways that people travel. Some people like to do a whole lot of driving and see little bits of a lot of stuff. And that's how I started doing it. And now I tend to try to get to spots and get a little bit more of a fewer things. So of less stops, but more seeing an area. Because as you're driving around, you know, I'm always baffled. I've probably mentioned it many times before, at just, no matter if you have your best perfect trip that you've ever had and you see so many amazing things, in my mind, I'm always like, I know I'm still missing more things that I'm seeing. So I've tried to myself slow down a little bit and spend a little bit more time in areas and seeing the slight differences in areas that may in your mind seem like, well, it's the same general area, it's all going to be the same. But exploring the little bits of different, I think, is something I've learned to enjoy doing. And then the other thing I do, which is, again, so much of how I travel, my sticker's coming off for my recent oil change, has to do with pets. And I have one cat that he's really stressed when we're driving. So because of that, I tend not to do what most people, and kind of the reason you get a Class B is that you can go everywhere, make little short trips. So I carry the bike on back, and once I get to a spot, I let my animals win and let them be more comfortable. And I do a lot of hiking and a lot of riding around on the bike to explore that way, instead of just the stress of the cats doing that and beating up on a 23-year-old RV. Still, hopeful everything's always good. It starts getting to this age, your mind tells you that, yeah, there's gonna come a point, but so far, so good. No jinxes, nothing bad. So I wonder from people how they like to do it. I know that there are people that do almost like virtual trips now. I have relatives that they travel with a little teardrop, and they're planners. They want to plan where everything is. They want showers. They want to live that. I guess if you can go glamping in a teardrop, maybe that's what they do. Showers aren't the biggest deal to me. I can do it in here, and I can wash in a lake if I have to or whatever. But I like to try to immerse myself in an area more than just seeing the highlights. That was, you know, I'm reflecting back to my last summer trip. Like I told you, I went all the way across the country through the Rockies and stuff like that. I spent a couple days on stops along the way, and then on the way back it was just stop to sleep to keep going. But that was a trip I saw so much amazing, just mind-boggling amazing. Driving through Montana, the Rockies, Idaho, Western Washington, all of it. It was just so friggin' beautiful. And I know I missed so much. I know I missed so much. I explored the Olympic Peninsula really well. If you want to see a lot of the Olympic Peninsula and a little bit of Oregon, last year's videos has got a lot of that, and it was fantastic. But I was also fortunate that when I was out there, I had a place to stay and a friend with a car, so this thing sat and used a car to do all the exploring, which, you know, this van does great. It gets 15 miles to a gallon on regular, and it used to be like, well, you know, I'm saving so much money because diesel's more expensive most places. I think there's some areas where it's a little cheaper, but most of the country, diesel's a lot more expensive. So I thought, okay, you're getting 22 in a diesel, but you're paying more for gas, so in the long run, I think I'm winning. But the ability to do a lot of touring in a car makes it, I understand why people with bigger RVs take a Toad, and some people with Class Bs pull a Toad. I wouldn't want to do that, but so I've gone off way too far of the rambling. Just, I'm excited about the upcoming trip and have some really cool ideas, have a lot of options for the first part of the trip, and a couple that are kind of like have to, and then a couple other things like, ooh, I hope I get to go to that place. But a couple have tos and a couple others, that would be cool. So I don't know how much video I'm gonna do and how much of availability I'm gonna have to post videos, because I, you know, I use free Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi when I can get it. And the difference, I think, from how I'm doing my YouTube stuff is I'm going to do the stuff I want to do, and I'm making videos to be more in the mainstream of how most travel videos are. People put a lot more planning and a lot more time and effort into what they're gonna video, and I don't do it that way. I just combined a whole bunch of random stuff and stick it in a video and hope a few people like it. So big trip coming up. I'm really excited. I hope there's some stuff that I post eventually that people will enjoy. But until the next videos, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of it, and I hope you have a great and wonderful day.